What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So Democrats are very happy. Democrats are extremely happy that they're getting closer to that $3.5 trillion price tag. They're getting closer to moderates accepting the fact that there is no runaway inflation. We're not seeing the signs of runaway inflation at this time. So Democrats are excited that yes, we can finally push for more. And that $3.5 trillion price tag, we could potentially go higher. However, like I always say, there are two sides to every story. Yes, most Democrats are happy and are excited and are just waiting for this $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill to pass. However, there are some Democrats that worry they are actually spending too much. And here's the problem. If they spend too much, and this is exactly what Republicans said over the past few months, is go ahead, pass big, bold, robust legislation. But what you're going to find out, and this is something that Mitch McConnell stated as well, is that the Democratic voters are not going to be happy and pleased with what happens. Well, what we're seeing now is there are some districts around the United States that are actually pushing to see President Biden and the Democrats go for less than $3.5 trillion because they say this is actually a bad thing. This will cause more inflation. It's going to cause us to have to pay more in taxes, and it's not going to go directly to the American people's pockets. Well, yeah, that's essentially true. And so a lot of these voters, and we're getting a lot more polls that are coming out now, that the Democratic voters are not pleased. The Democratic numbers are not looking great. And if Democrats lose both the House and the Senate in the last 2 years of President Biden's term, it's going to be very difficult for him to pass any of his agendas. It's going to be very difficult. But here's what's happening right now. Democrats in the House have agreed that the child tax credit payments will be extended. This is good news. Initially, they weren't sure if they were going to extend this for 3 years or possibly 4. Was it going to go to 2023 or 2024 or 2025? Well, they agreed to 2025. Most of this bill is essentially the same thing that we've been seeing. However, there are some changes, and these are actually some pretty good changes. Here's one of them. It's called the look-back rule. What this rule essentially does, if your income exceeds the limit, so your income, if it goes over $150,000 as a couple, it would actually phase out until you get to $400,000. Okay? If you are an individual, I believe it's $75,000 and it phases out until you reach $200,000, I believe. Now, here's what you need to know. The look back rule allows you to, if your income was, let's say, less, okay, over, let's say it was more this year than it was last year. Well, the look back rule allows you to look back 2 years. And if for some reason your income were to drop or increase just 1 year and it was kind of a sporadic thing, it was just all of a sudden maybe you had to work 2 or 3 jobs just to survive. Well, the look back rule allows you to continue to get this money because it's going to look back for 2 years. So that's good news there. So if you made more this year than you did last year and you qualified last year, you should still qualify for this next year as well. So that's good news. Now, one of the other differences that we are talking about right now that a lot of people are saying is a really good thing is that it's coming down to taxes. We are getting an agreement there, and this is what Democrats are excited about. They're really happy about this. The top income tax rate, okay, will go from 37% to 39.6%. The highest capital gains tax will go from 20% up to 25%. Now, what you need to understand is this is only applicable for any income, any capital gains after September 13th, 2021. So yesterday. Any income that you make after yesterday is now going to be applied to this new rule. Again, that's the highest capital gains tax is 25%. One issue, though, that we're seeing right now is that even though more and more lawmakers are agreeing on this corporate tax rate, on capital gains, on how we're going to fund this bill, the problem is they're still going to debate this, and many expect the debate is going to change the numbers. Now, what does this mean? Well, if we start to change the numbers, for example, instead of 20%, for capital gains maybe only go up to 22%. What that does is by decreasing the amount of taxes that the government imposes on us, it actually brings in less revenue. The problem there is if it brings in less revenue, does it pay for the entire bill? So this is where things are really going to come down to the end. We're going to see this fork in the road. Okay? Do we get to the end of this, and will they vote on this bill? Will it pass? We don't know. Here's a big issue though. Senator Chuck Schumer and Speaker Nancy Pelosi, they're having a major issue, a major crisis right now. And here's what's being said. They are both being given hard red lines by many members of both the Senate and the House. Some don't want to spend too much. Others want to spend a little bit more. Others want certain pieces of their agenda included into this bill. Some want and pretty much a guarantee that their agenda, whatever it is, will be considered at some point, which Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer can be like, yeah, I promise, go ahead. But we don't know what's going to happen. Many want their proposals considered at some point. It doesn't matter when, but they want it considered. They want to be heard. What we know right now is in Congress, and as a lawmaker, I'm not a lawmaker, okay, but what we know is it doesn't matter if your proposal gets accepted. What matters is that your proposal is seen by your constituents that yes, you did propose this. You tried to push it in the House or the Senate, but it was, voted against. People oppose this. Oh well, but your constituents look at this and be like, oh, he or she did, go after this. Okay, I'm gonna keep them in office. Maybe they'll get it next time. That's really all that matters. Is really you just want to see your proposal be accepted in the fact that okay, let's listen to it. That's it. That's really all they care about. So that's why some lawmakers are pushing so many different agendas, because they have to. They're promising their constituents all these things, but we know it's never going to happen. But in the end, here's the problem. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, they have to almost get 100% of their caucus on board. They have to get almost every single vote. In the House, Nancy Pelosi can lose no more than 3 votes from from House Democrats. And in the Senate, Chuck Schumer cannot lose one single Democratic vote, or else the bill will not pass. But today, this is the good news. The CPI data came out, and it was actually a welcoming sign for progressives. Progressives are saying that this is just additional proof that there is no runaway inflation, and moderates should be accepting of the fact that we need to spend more. Accepting of the fact that we need to spend more. One White House official was asked if there's any discussions right now of accepting a smaller infrastructure bill. Well, they simply said that accepting a smaller package now does a disservice to the American people and our future economy. Let me just ask you this. Would you be happy with Democrats if they accepted a smaller infrastructure bill or smaller stimulus package? Maybe not $3.5 trillion, but maybe 2.5 or let's say $2.8 trillion. Would you be accepting of this? Would you be happy? I'm just curious. Let me know down in the comment section below. We also know many experts are saying that now is the time to push for more spending on the progressive side. They say with this new data that came out, there's no runaway inflation. There's additional proof. The White House is on board that yes, now's the time to push for more. We know that according to recent reports that have come out over the past couple of days, that the poverty rate fell in 2020. This is actually pretty big considering that we had so many people on unemployment. However, they say it was all because of stimulus. That's it, stimulus. It wasn't jobs, it wasn't employers, right? It wasn't that. It was stimulus. Unemployment benefits, stimulus checks, nutrition assistance. I don't know why I'm putting this in there, but I will. Rental assistance, right? We had free and reduced medical expenses, right? We had a lot of stuff. We had a lot of stuff pushed out into our hands, into our pockets, into the economy last year. And it did a very, very good job. It helped out millions of people. But the problem right now, according to experts, that some families are still hoping that Democrats come to an agreement on more for them. And these experts are saying that all of the programs that helped out millions and millions of Americans in the past year, they're either expired, or they will not be extended. Just think about people that are students, who have student loans. their payment, they had that payment pause that was supposed to end the end of September. That got pushed back. Multiple months. That's great, but what happens when those people now have to repay that? What happens when the businesses that are still struggling, now they went from a $500,000 EIDL loan max to now they can get $2 million. So businesses that are still struggling can go and get an additional small business loan. Well, that's great, but what about when that money runs out? What about when we go back into this, COVID surge that we're starting to see again? What happens then? Experts are just curious. Will we see more assistance? Who knows? What I can tell you though is that experts are adamant that yes, we are going to see more people that came out of poverty go back into poverty simply because the stimulus is gone. There's no additional talks other than the child tax credit payments. But what if you don't have children? What if you don't qualify? What happens then? In addition to lawmakers actually working on this $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, okay, what we know is that then as soon as they're done, they're going to vote to try to pass the $1.2 trillion bipartisan bill. They also need to raise the debt ceiling. That's going to be a very tough task to do. Republicans say they will not be used as a pawn in order to raise the debt ceiling that Democrats can do completely on their own. But by not raising the debt ceiling and not doing it very soon, this has to be done pretty soon, probably within the first couple weeks of October, according to multiple reports. If this doesn't happen, our government, the United States government, will run out of money. We would see a government shutdown, and we would obviously be default on multiple loans, on pretty much all of our debts. That would be a huge issue. The United States government owes money to other countries, very wealthy individuals, right? They owe money to everybody. But right now, it's not looking like we're going to get out of this debt situation that we're in anytime soon. I don't know. Let me just ask you, what would you think if instead of adding to our deficit, we go and try to pay off some of this? So maybe we don't pass a $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, but pass something around $2 trillion and use the additional tax revenue that we're going to receive, use that to pay off some of our debt. That's what Republicans want. That's what many experts say we should do, but they say that would be the worst thing to do for the American people because we would actually see less money. So I'm just curious, what would you like to see? Now, Democrats are saying that we should not be asked to raise the debt ceiling ourselves. That's what Democrats are saying. They say this was a joint effort. The previous administration under former President Donald Trump was a massive reason why our national debt is so high. But they say that Republicans are actually fighting back right now, saying Democrats had to just do a little bit more to try to get them involved in this bill, plus the past bill, the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. If Democrats would have got Republicans involved a little bit more, they probably could have passed a bill. However, they tried to rush it through, and Democrats are not going to be used, or Republicans are not going to be used in order to pass this. And they say if Democrats plan to push through another bill through budget reconciliation, then they will have no part in the raising of the debt ceiling. And they will see what Democrats do then. And we know this, okay? But I just want to bring this up again. Anytime we see somebody in power, and right now the person in power is Democrats and President Biden. Now, a lot of people say President Biden isn't the one running the show. And if you saw the thing yesterday where their video feed got cut when President Biden decided to kind of go off track, okay? This is where some are saying, well, what happened here? Who's running the show? It obviously isn't the president. But what they are saying right now is it's always the person in power that gets hurt the most. With former President Donald Trump and the Trump administration, when they couldn't pass additional stimulus or he couldn't get even the talks of an infrastructure bill to even go, who was to blame? It was the president. Well, it doesn't matter whether the debt ceiling is raised this time or not. It will be the president that is actually punished again, will be to blame. And that means Democrats will be to blame if this doesn't happen. So we'll see what happens there. Reports as of today also indicate that many businesses are looking for new ways to entice their employees to get the COVID vaccine. Here's something I want to bring to your attention. The MTA, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, they're actually going to extend the $500,000 death benefit to employees if they pass away due to COVID-related causes. However, here's where you are getting enticed to go and get the vaccine. They only are going to give this $500,000 benefit to somebody that has been vaccinated. If you are vaccinated and you were to pass away because of the vaccine, okay, that is a COVID-related cause, and you would be granted a $500,000 death benefit to your family. Okay, so just so you know, what they're trying to do is, the goal behind this is to get more people that drive the New York buses, subways, and commuter trains. They're trying to get them back to work because they still say there's a shortage. This is just one of the reasons why they're trying to add in additional benefits. Now, the benefits for the MTA were actually supposed to expire on August 31st. However, they have been extended until December 31st, 2021. So that's good news there. But I wanted to bring this up because more businesses are going to use tactics like this. Say, okay, well, you have to go and get a vaccine or else your insurance with us wouldn't work, or your insurance might have to go up, right? Now, again, I'm just throwing this out there. I've seen this over multiple different news outlets that there's a possibility that could happen. There's also a possibility that, okay, well, if you do not go and get a vaccine, well, our insurance as a business, because too many people are not vaccinated, it's going to go up. So as our insurance as a business goes up, well, we actually have to pay you a little bit less because you're the ones causing it. Again, these are just reports out there. But once we start seeing big businesses starting to implement these things, I promise I'll bring that to your attention as well. Now, here's some very troubling news coming from multiple news outlets, and this is actually coming out for the American people this winter. Here's what we are planning to expect. And again, this is not good news, but I want to keep you updated on what is actually happening. Natural gas has been impacted due to Hurricane Ida and the recent tropical storm Nicholas, I believe. The costs, okay, they are now up over the 7-year high, okay, for natural gas. So costs there are obviously increasing. This is not good for the American people who have less money to spend. But here's the issue. 78% of the Gulf of Mexico's natural gas production is currently offline. Offline. That's not good. Experts say that the ramifications of this will be troubling. Experts are saying that at this time of year, what we normally try to do is build up a stock or a surplus of inventory. But in order to do this, okay, we have to have these natural gas, the production has to be online. Well, here's the issue. Some are anticipating higher heating bills this winter due to the limited amount of natural gas. Some say it's going to be a very rough winter for many people. One expert says that if your home is heated by natural gas, here's what you need to do. Make sure your home is comfortable, okay, but do not make it toasty. He says this will actually help you conserve gas, and hopefully you can last throughout the winter. This is not good news, because if we have a very cold winter, it is going to hurt millions and millions of people. One of the other ways this is going to hurt many people is if we do not have natural gas, okay? Many people cook with gas. Guess who cooks with gas? Restaurants, fast food restaurants, right? You know, some grocery stores make their own, you know, stuff in the deli, or the hot counter, or whatever you want to call it, right? The issue here is if they do not have enough gas to cook, we could see if we see a shortage of natural gas or limited supply there, this could mean restaurants get closed down. It's not just about heating. We use this to cook as well. So that could be a big issue too. So just keep that in mind. And here's another thing that I think is somewhat, it's a little bit of an issue for the Biden administration and the White House. According to the recent reports today, we are seeing that the vaccination rate among the G7 is actually pretty close. However, us here in the United States, who originally came out on top, we just shot up there with vaccinations, well, we are almost to the bottom. We're actually number 6. The United States is now lagging behind after our initial surge in vaccinations. The U.S. is about to become the least vaccinated country between Canada, United Kingdom, France, Italy, Germany, and Japan. We are, I think, about like 2%. It's just pretty close, like 1 to 2% more vaccinated than Japan. But again, they're catching up and they're expected to pass us anytime. So it's not great news there, but it is news. So again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Have any questions whatsoever, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But again, thanks for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.